We're Isabelle and Kim, girlfriends living in the south of France and chatting about everything going on in our lives.
Come hang out with us while we cheers with an Aperol Spritz, swap stories, get into some deep talks, and share what we've learned along the way. Follow us on Instagram at coucou.pod.
I guess we have to start from the beginning. So how the hell did we get to France? I will go first. So despite many, many years of taking French in high school, I deemed it completely unnecessary because why would I ever need to be able to speak French? Fast forward, I end up falling in love with a French guy and moved to France to start my life here. So this is how I got here, and I've now been here for the past 5.5 years. I was living in Paris, and I just recently, this past year, moved down to Aix-en-Provence, where I met my new friend Kim at our daughter's school. So how did you get here, Kim?
So I have not been living here that long. My husband and I made a decision about a year ago, not knowing any French either, but we both quit our jobs and we wanted to kind of get off the rat race of California and have a completely different cultural family experience. So we shopped around a few cities in France and realized that Aix-en-Provence was the perfect fit for our family. And we've been really enjoying it. And I was so excited that Isabelle and I got to meet at her daughter's school. And I have a daughter and a son that are 5 and 7 now.
And so why are we doing a podcast together? First of all, from the minute I saw Kim, I knew that we would be friends just because we had that friend vibe. And I feel like the two of us can just like talk and talk and talk and talk. So maybe, I don't know if that's a good thing for a podcast, but we were like, this could be a fun thing to learn together. We thought it could be fun to just chat about everything going on in our lives, what it's like living in a foreign country, being moms, trying to work, being in relationships, and just discuss all these things from our different perspective of being outside of the U.S.
And bear with us while we work out the kinks. But if you are interested in anything about motherhood, the French culture, what it's like to live abroad, friendships, making new friends abroad, and anything else that's on our mind,
then stick around.
Stick around. We're here to share some fun stories and hopefully share some insight and knowledge we've gained along the way. Today, so every podcast we are going to take one topic and we are going to dive into it and share our thoughts on it. So we thought the best one to start with on our first podcast would be culture shock, because this is definitely something that happens when you move abroad.
And we also have kind of the unique perspective of this because Kim is new into this French thing. So she's been here not even a year yet, half a year. I've been here for 5 years. So I think it'll be fun to see our differences in culture shocks because some of the ones that were so shocking to me at the beginning, I've probably forgotten about. So I can't wait to hear what your culture shocks are. Okay, so Kim, let's go through what is something that has surprised you about living in France?
Oh, there's a lot of things that have surprised me. So let me back up and just say I was very worried about moving to France. This was a big decision for my husband and I. We had a pretty nice, I would say, easy lifestyle in California. And I had a lot of uncertainty about the language. What happens if my kids get sick? What happens if we don't like the school? What happens if we don't meet anyone? We also didn't know anyone when we moved here. And so I was just kind of worried in general, and also being very far away from our families and our friends.
Sure being far from families is kind of scary.
Definitely. And so I think my things that actually surprised me were good things. Like I was surprised actually how, I will not say it's easy to learn French, but that if you put effort in, you start to kind of pick it up over time and you start to understand more, and it feels better almost like every couple weeks, I would say, like making progress on that. And then I think the thing that also really surprised me in a positive way is how many amazing people you meet living abroad that have similar mindsets to you that you didn't even expect, that suddenly, like Isabelle and I, you make a connection with someone that feels like you've known that person your whole life. And you come from different backgrounds and completely, sometimes very different countries and very different, growing up experiences, but somehow you sort of have a shared mindset of being, willing to take a risk to live in a different country and being able to like be more open-minded about things. And that's been a very pleasant surprise.
I think that's actually such a good point because it's true. It's really hard to leave your comfort zone and everything you know. And for me, I was sort of I'm kind of erratic in that sense where like I can decide like, oh yeah, let's just move to another country. But I never think through all the other things that implies. And I completely agree with you because I have met a lot of people since I've been here. And there is sort of always this like underlying like openness, because it does take a certain you have to be able to take a risk to do this. And it's really interesting. It's been interesting meeting all the people I've met along the way.
And I also think, if you think about like negative surprises too, because there's always good and bad. I think when you move abroad, I think some of the negative surprises, for me at least, are like things take a lot longer. And I think if you come from the US, you have this sort of
the convenience
and like you can get things easily. I mean, I lived my life with Amazon Prime, and like even they were testing, the drones would deliver within like an hour or two. And so when we got here and I was like, oh my gosh, the Amazon guy's calling me. Oh no, like how do I speak French to him? And why is this taking? And it would always be delayed. So just things like that, I just have not gotten used to. I think the other thing is like grocery shopping. Like in the US, like I would just grocery shop for the week. We were both busy working parents. Like I would plan out my meals. I would have Whole Foods or Safeway deliver for the week, and that would be pretty much it. Here, like food, you just can't shop like that. So we end up
goes bad so fast.
It goes bad so fast, and so we end up going to the market a lot. Like
which is also amazing.
It's so great, and I'm like I can't even imagine going back to like having food in the fridge for an entire
just chilling in there for 10 days.
Yes,
doing fine.
Yes, and like having salmon or something like fresh like that late. So we are grocery shopping daily, which at first kind of bothered me, and now I love it. Like I love going to the market. I love thinking about like, okay, like there's like a whole. We should really post some pictures about the fish.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy!
Just like the seafood displays, and like they arrange
the effort
their
that's put into the display is. I actually did a class one time in my graduate studies. I did a class in Paris about this, and there's really like a whole science behind it. It's almost like when you go into a mall and everything is merchandised. They do that with food here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's why, depending on the store you go to, like they really put a lot of thought and effort into making things look nice. And it's just such when you're used to seeing everything just wrapped up in plastic in the US, and then you walk by a market and you see like a full rabbit with the head on, and you're like, I mean, it's kind of shocking, but it's also just kind of this like back to basics and less convenient. You never know how you never understand how convenient life in the US can be until you've moved to another country. And of course, not understanding the language definitely amplifies that.
Yes.
But even just like when you compare basics to basics, it is just a little bit more of a slower life here.
Yes. And I also think food, like the French food is so amazing I love it. I think the one thing that has surprised me as I've gotten like into month 6 is sometimes the lack of like variety within like restaurants. Like you kind of know what you're getting at like every restaurant.
It's very seasonal. And this is seasonal. Like one big thing here is like people really only buy what's seasonal. So if you go to a restaurant in the spring, they're all going to have sort of the same things on the menu. If you go in the summer, they usually change the menu, but you'll know that it's true. It is like very, very similar. You don't have all the wide varieties that you have in the US, which is actually probably a good thing.
Right, because it means it's actually fresh.
Yeah.
But it is funny, like the kids keep asking, like, when is it strawberry season? I want nectarines.
It's coming soon.
And
we
I'm
have
like,
one month left.
a couple more. But it's really, in the US, you can find strawberries year round or nectarines, and they just
Kim, you're going to die when you taste the strawberries. Were you here for strawberry season?
I wasn't here for the actual season, but I was at the tail end, and they were like, it's like
you
candy,
can't go back to an American strawberry after this. It's like candy. Yes. They're
so delicious,
good.
and they're beautiful,
and they're gorgeous,
and they're not these like big large ones that are like,
well, there's all the different varieties. There's that like long thin one. I had this like black one once that was crazy.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
But just one other thing that I want to bring up on this topic of the food stuff that's still surprising to me is just how bad things go, how fast things go bad. And I cannot tell you how many times I have given my family food poisoning from the meat. Because if you buy something at the butcher, you really need to cook it like that day or the next day. And if you wait, sometimes even the next day, like it's a little iffy. If it's a little bit cheaper, like it's definitely, you got to cook it that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went through a phase where I stopped cooking with meat because we were just getting sick every time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I haven't experienced that yet.
I hope you don't experience that, but you're probably doing a great job
I don't know about that, but we're trying. So, okay, things that shock surprise you.
Okay, so for me, I feel like a lot of these things were the same for me when I first moved to Paris. So maybe I'll do my culture shocks on more living in France but outside of Paris.
Great.
because I was so used to life in Paris. And I feel like also some of you guys have probably followed me on TikTok and know I've shared a lot of these before. But so for moving to the South, this is probably a topic for a whole nother day, but everyone's always talking about how French people are so rude, blah, 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 blah. And I always stand up for them because I think there's a lot of differences in culture. That said, people in the South are so, so nice. I've had such good experiences with almost everyone, whereas in Paris, like people are very rushed and busy, and it's like a big city, probably like New York and LA. People don't have the time, but everyone here, and maybe it's also the sun. It's sunny almost every day here.
So nice.
People are just so friendly and open and welcoming, and it's been something that I didn't think I needed, but I actually think I really needed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think I was really happy in Paris, but I just feel more in tune with myself living here.
Yes.
So that has been one of my culture shocks of coming to the South.
I agree with you. Everyone, when we would tell people we're moving to France, they're like, French people, oh no, like, and you don't even speak their language well. Like, what are you going to do? And I find like just that you're trying to speak French and like
it makes all the
difference. And people are actually like willing to listen to you. And sometimes I think we misinterpret, like if someone makes like a squinty look and they lean in, I was like, oh my gosh, they like don't like me, or they're like looking at me rude, but they were actually just trying to understand what I was saying so they could actually help me.
It's actually my husband who pointed this out to me, because when he would come to the US, he would be like, why is everyone doing this face at me? And I realized
she's squinting her eyes.
Sorry, I'm squinting my eyes if you can't see me. And I realized it was just because I was paying attention. Like I realized that there was an accent, so I had to focus, and I was just like leaning in to pay attention. But he was taking it as I was being like what? Like what's that you're trying to say? Like in a rude way. And now I really get it. It's true. People are just trying to understand.
Yeah. And you say something really nice that sort of disarms the like the original, if they're even a little bit standoffish. Yeah, tell them.
So I have this tip that I have found works so well is because I always try and speak French. My French is actually pretty good now. Not to say that I don't have days where I feel like I cannot even say one word of French, but
she's really good.
But I often, if I'm in like a customer service situation or I need help from someone, I'll like say everything in French and I'll kind of apologize like for my accent. And the second I say like, oh, like désolé, mon accent est pas très bien, it's like a wall comes down and the person like instantly smiles like, oh no, like you're doing great. And it just kind of like breaks the ice between what can sometimes be like uncomfortable, awkward conversations when like you're not really understanding each other, and it kind of just like puts the playing field equal. Yes. And I've just always had such like, then both people are helping and we try to figure out the problem. Because sometimes, like for example, if you're at a doctor, you get in these situations sometimes abroad where I have vocabulary for a lot of things, but there's certain situations where if I'm not talking about that topic in my day-to-day life, I just don't have
the vocab
to explain myself. And so I've found that tactic always has worked so well for me.
Yeah. And now I've totally stolen it and I say it all the time.
And then I guess another big culture shock for me moving to the South. So I have my driver's license, but basically, I mean, I went to boarding school. So I barely even drove in high school. And then I drove in college, and then I moved to New York City. So in terms of like being an experienced driver, I drove when I was like 16 to 20, and that's it. And now obviously living in the South, we are in a house and have to drive everywhere. So I've finally started driving in France this year, and it's honestly, it's just total. Would you agree?
It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
It's just totally different.
It's caused me major anxiety when we first moved.
It's really stressful. Yes. And the roads are just
tiny.
They're just really small. And the roads are tiny. And often you're in this situation where to the American eye, you are on a one-way street.
Yes.
And there's ditches on both sides. But in fact, this is actually a two-way street. Yes. And you have to fit 2 cars down it. And you know, people just fly by like no worries, and I'm just like kind of like crawling along. I've gotten better at it now, but just like kind of these logistics, parking, I know in X there's certain parking garages I won't even attempt because it's just so narrow. You have to be such a good driver, and all these French people just in and out. I see people even just like bonk their car sometimes and just like keep going, like no big deal. But that was like kind of a shock to me. And then when I went back over Christmas to the US, I was like, wow, like wide open spaces.
Yes, and easier driving. What I had to learn was roundabout etiquette.
Oh, yes.
Which,
I actually love the roundabout, though. Now
not
that I know
okay.
how it works and you never have to stop at stoplights, it's awesome. You just keep on spinning.
I'm not quite there yet.
I'll give you my tricks.
Okay, because
offline.
I'm like still like I'll spin in a complete 360 and end up back in the same.
No.
Yes.
Oh, Kim. Okay. Yeah. No, you need help on this.
Yes. So the roundabouts are still, but I'm with you. The driving here, and I have driven. So I also lived in New York City, and we were actually there at the same time. Which
I know.
we
This
never
is
realized.
so funny.
But I actually drove in New York City because I would commute out of the city for work and then drive back into the city and have to like parallel park down like 6th Avenue into traffic.
Oh my
And
gosh. My
so I
worst
felt
nightmare.
like my driving was getting okay. But here, I mean, it is a whole
And
new
I mean,
level.
the place where you park your car, Kim.
Oh, I was,
Like,
yes.
I have my house, I have a like bigger driveway. Kim puts her car into a like small storage container. Like I don't even know how she gets in there.
We decided to get a house right in the city center of X, which has actually been amazing because we walk pretty much everywhere.
Jealous
but we
of
do
this.
have to drive to our kids' school, which is about you live like 2 minutes from school,
Yeah.
and I live what looked like 15 on the map, but really is more like an hour each way. So my biggest fear, and I used to actually have my husband, this is sad, but have to pull me out of, we live in an alleyway. And so the way that the garage is shaped, you would be hitting a gate on one side or the like actual part of the alley on the other. And so you have to kind of maneuver about, it takes me like, if I can do it in 10 turns, it's a win. So I'm still
That's a lot of turns.
a lot of turns. So anyways, I actually felt like a sense of accomplishment when I learned to pull out of the garage, which sounds so like something I would never have said was an accomplishment in my past life, but feeling better about that. Things we love and can't live without now.
Okay, I can't live without all the little French desserts in the yogurt section of the grocery store.
Yeah. Do you know I still am looking for your, what is it? Your
The
bon-
gâteaux, the semoule.
Yes. What is this?
It's so good. It's basically it's a semolina, so it's
Okay.
like kind of couscous
Yes.
in milk with vanilla and
It's
sugar.
like flan.
It's sort of like the texture of flan, but
Okay.
it's a little bit grainy because
Okay.
you have the semolina in it.
Ah, what's
It-
the brand?
Bon Maman.
Okay.
It is so good. Usually it's by like the mousse au chocolat.
Oh yes, I've seen it. Okay.
It's really good. Honestly, these are the like I love these little desserts. My husband always bought them, and then I was like, oh yeah, like I don't need this. And then the second I tried them, I was like, oh my gosh, they're so good. And now
Yeah.
I keep like trying because I kind of got set on the ones that I like, but now people have been recommending other ones to me, and I'm trying them, and I'm
Really?
like, oh my gosh, how
Those
did
are
I
really
live
good
without this
too?
one? Yeah, so there's a lot of
Wow. Okay.
and just like the regular plain yogurt. I feel like I eat like Greek yogurt sometimes
Yeah.
in the US, but you know, with Greek yogurt, it kind of just gets like stuck in
Yes.
your mouth and it's so thick.
And it needs
And
like
especially in the
a
US,
lot
I
of
feel like
honey.
it's super, super thick.
Yeah.
So I really love all the yogurt here. And of course the bread. I
Oh,
love the bread.
Yes. So
But-
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say this is I'm eating completely different than how I would in California. I mean, somewhat similar in some ways, but different in others. Like, so for example, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. There's sort of this like, don't eat carbs. That like if you know like want to keep weight off. If you don't eat that, don't eat this, don't eat like they're like all these
also,
don'ts.
the carbs like don't make you feel great in the US.
No, it's like it sits with it. Like I would never eat like a sandwich or a white bread or like I just would never. It just didn't
Yeah.
occur to me. Like I pretty much ate things that like didn't have carbs. And so moving here, I was like, oh, like there's bread at every meal and there's desserts after like lunch and dinner. And I've fully embraced it. Like I will go and like enjoy like this. I meant to tell you about this almond croissant I've had.
Oh.
Croissant au almond. It's from
it-
Monsieur Cho.
Oh no, I haven't tried that.
Okay.
My
it's-
husband loves almond croissants. so-
Okay, we're gonna go because it's like 3-minute walk
Okay.
from here. But anyways, I will treat myself and not feel guilty. And it's not even like a treat. It's sort of part of my daily, maybe not
but it
daily,
makes you
but every
feel
couple
good,
days.
right?
Yeah, like I don't really like
you don't think twice
obsess
about it. It's
about
not
it.
like, oh my gosh, I had like an unhealthy breakfast.
right, and I don't like worry about it all day. Of like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that
Yeah.
croissant that morning. And
It's interesting you say this because I do like some videos on food stuff, and
Yeah.
when I go back to the US, just kind of calling out like how bad the quality is. And there are people who are like, but you're like when you're back in France, you like promote eating butter and all of like
Yeah.
carbs and unhealthy stuff. So like they're confused, and I can sort of see how that would be confusing
Yes,
too, like when you
yes.
look at it like that. But it really is just the I think it does really help that the ingredients, the food is more like just basic real food here, and that really helps. But it's more just part of the lifestyle too. You eat, it's more, I think that the French way of eating is more intuitive than the way that Americans eat, because there's that whole movement with intuitive eating in the US.
Yes.
And I think that French people kind of naturally, like from a young age, grow up with this intuitive eating. Like you can have anything you want, but you're not going to have like tons and tons of chocolate all day long, but you don't have the want to have that because you've never restricted yourself.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree. I also think portions are smaller.
Yeah, portions
and that's
are
a
smaller,
big
for sure.
adjustment. I think when you move here and you go out to dinner, and like if you order fish, for example, it doesn't come with like mashed potatoes and a sauce and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like a normal sized portion, like maybe what we would say in the US, like 6 ounces of 4 to 6 ounces of fish. And then usually just with like super fresh vegetables and olive oil, and like it's simple, but it's like delicious.
Room for a dessert, or like you take a little appetizer. Because in France, you don't get appetizers normally to share. Like each person gets their own.
Yes.
To start. And it's true. It's just smaller portions. It's just a different way of eating. And that's one of the things that I love the most about living here, is just this kind of like new way of eating, and it feels good. My body feels good.
Yeah. I know. I agree. I think the other thing for me that I like about here, and you and I were talking about this a little bit, is just like the culture is a little bit more relaxed than I think the US, in terms of like stores actually close for a lunch break here, which at first I was like, what do you mean? They're just like a store.
And this is sort of a difference too between Paris and the South. Like,
does Paris not close for lunch?
Things are open for the most part. There's some like little stores you can pick up like a package where maybe they close 12 to 1. But I've noticed here, like in my head, I'm always checking on Google to make sure something's open, because often places are closed between like 12 and 2. Okay. And then they're reopening from like 3 to 8 or whatever. And I think that's kind of a culture shock for me here, and even just how much is closed on Sunday.
Yes, almost everything.
Like we were in X yesterday, and almost everything is closed.
The only thing that's open is like a tourist store.
Yeah, like some tourist shopping, like a few
lavender.
Like some restaurants.
Yes.
But most things are closed.
And it feels super quiet.
Very quiet. Like if you come into X Sunday morning, even the same in Paris, like Sunday morning is like
super quiet.
Pin drop quiet. Yeah. There's just nobody out.
Yeah.
I always like really like that.
I like it too.
Nice.
I think it actually creates like Sunday's supposed to be a day of rest, which is like, it was a joke for me in the US. Like it was my day to like do all my laundry, change my sheets, like make sure I caught up for work that week, like plan my groceries. Like it was, and then it would be like, maybe we get one little like piece of enjoyment of like, maybe we'll go out to lunch, or maybe we'll do a bike ride or something. But it was like, it was sort of
like a to-do
jam-packed of to-do list day. Yeah. And here, like it's really meant to be like a family day where you're not out
long
there
lunch outside or with your family or friends, and like you're not supposed to be working.
Right. And it's kind of crazy actually. But that's probably been a culture shock. I didn't think about that for you because I assumed Paris was similar, but it must not be.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more open, but it's still a lot of like there's very few good restaurants that are open Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. Like everyone gets to take a break.
Yeah, it is nice. And I also think you have to sort of get used to here, like if you're going to go out to lunch or dinner, at least 2 hours. Like I think in the US, like
least. For lunch, sometimes it can be shorter.
Yeah.
Because people sometimes are getting back to work. It depends. Like, but if you go on a weekend lunch with friends here,
3 hours.
And at least 3 hours.
Yes.
And this can be kind of tough with kids.
Really tough with kids.
My daughter's gotten really good at it because I feel like we've spent so much time in restaurants, but that was really shocking to me when I first moved here. Even just like going over to friends' houses.
Yes.
How I remember one of the first years I was dating my husband, I wasn't even living in France yet, but I was visiting, and he was like, oh, I'm going to have a barbecue, and invited all of his friends over. And so I think people showed up at like 1 PM. And so from my like American perspective, I'm like, oh, fun. Like, we'll like barbecue, like have a few drinks. And then, like a few hours later, like everyone goes home. People were there till almost 1 AM.
No.
Yes. And I didn't speak any French at this point. And I remember being at like the 7 o'clock point when I kind of realized that like no one was going anywhere anytime soon. I sort of started to like feel a little panicky because I was like, oh my gosh, because there's only so much like nodding and smiling you can do. And it just I was starting to feel like really kind of bad in my head because I was like, whoa. And then also just exhausted and like, wait, but like is this going to go till tomorrow? Like, what's the game
Are they
plan
sleeping
here?
over?
Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But that was really shocking because I feel like in the U.S. we're just always like,
Yeah, it's like it has an end time date. Like
go, go, go,
yes,
go, go.
Completely. We had a similar experience. We were invited our first couple of weeks. My daughter and actually your daughter too. They're around the same age, like 4 or 5 years old, and they were invited to a friend of theirs' family house when we first moved because my daughter instantly bonded with this little girl who's half Japanese and half Italian, and so her dad invited us to their house, which was lovely. And with all of his Italian friends, and we were like, we don't speak any Italian either.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over there at 1. We thought, oh, okay, we'll be home by 3-ish. Like it's just like a lunch. And they didn't even start serving lunch until 3.
Oh.
So it was like
Yeah.
the aperitif. Like we had Aperol Spritzes, and then he would like pass these little, like little slices of like tiny pizza slices that were delicious, like all homemade. And then we finally sat down. It was like 4 o'clock, 3:30, and we were there. Like people were still there. It was like 10 o'clock. I'm like, we have to get out of here. Like the kids need to go to bed. But it was like lovely and relaxing without the pressure of like, okay, we gotta like hurry up. And it just felt sort of nice, actually.
I agree with you. And I think that like it allows you to have deeper friendships when there's more time, because I think sometimes in the U.S., like you're just kind of rushing through things. Like maybe you have more than one plan on a day. Like I think
for sure.
Here it's really hard to have more than one plan for the day just because things take longer. Like maybe if you have a birthday party in the morning, but even that's like 3 hours. Like
the birthday parties are 3 hours.
Birthday parties are long too. So I try to have like one thing each day. Like I never try to do more than that. But I do think because you have more time to spend, the conversations get deep, like
for sure,
past that surface level of like, oh, how are you? What are you doing this week? Like what's going on next week? So I think a lot of times in the US we just talk about these like current events in your life, as opposed to like how you're like
actually doing,
how you're feeling, like what's like going on. And I do think that's one big difference.
Totally. I think that's in general, like you find people that you spend time with like open up a lot faster, I think here too. Like I would say more expat friends. The French, I know.
I feel like French people don't open up so fast. No. But it's true. I feel like expat friends also, when you see someone who's in your same situation, there's just so much that you can relate on kind of off the bat.
Yes.
Because you're going through the same things, or maybe you've been through that feeling before. So that definitely helps things get deeper too. But I agree. I have like a smaller circle of friends, but I feel like I have like deep friendships with the people that I do see often.
Yeah. I feel like, no, 100%. I've only been here 6 months, and I feel like my friendships have been deeper in 6 months here than we just moved from San Francisco, California. And it took years to build like like close,
real friends.
Yeah. Despite like working in the city, our kids go to 2 different schools. So like our network was actually fairly big, but it's a lot of it's broad but not deep, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So I think that's like a positive difference as well.
Okay, so I guess to round this little segment out on our culture shocks and all this stuff, let's do 2 things that you miss from the US.
Okay. So this kind of plays into, so I haven't been back to the US and we're not going back for a full year. We've actually decided to stay in France at least another year, potentially more. So I'm excited about that. Actually, it was like a very decision I don't think we really even considered. But that said, so it'll have been a full year before we go back to the US. And I'm already thinking about, this is simple, and I feel like we've talked a lot about food, but I just really want a good breakfast sandwich, and I want Mexican food.
Oh my gosh.
Like I want a good, like real margarita. I want like
a real, like for me, spicy margaritas.
Yes.
You can't, it's very
I want the
hard
real,
to
like
find a
the
really
real
good
salt that's like, and I don't want that
tahini.
like mix. I want like a home, like a good,
like a real fresh
margarita.
So for me, I love bagels, and I'm so excited because I'm actually going to New York this weekend. So I get to have a New York bagel, but I miss bagels.
They have bagels.
Yes, but they don't taste the same.
They don't. I've never even tried them.
Yeah. I mean, there's just like, you can't compare.
Okay.
I buy these like little frozen bagels from Picard, the frozen food store, that are actually made in the US, but you just can't find anything equivalent to like a big doughy New York City bagel.
Ah, okay.
So I really miss that.
Okay.
And then I think the other thing I miss, I was just back in the US for almost a month, and it's true. Despite being here for 5 years and having a decent level of French, I just know how life works. Like, so I can live in the US without even thinking.
Yeah.
And that kind of like autopilot life of being able to like navigate my entire day without really thinking. I know this probably sounds bad.
No, I do
But
the same.
I think that that's like the one thing that's hard here, because even after so long, I still like you never really truly master the cultural things. All of the little, I'm always thinking.
Me too.
And I do find that when I'm here by the end of the day, and then when you add in like work and being a mom and all that stuff, I sometimes just feel like so mentally exhausted and spacey, and like my head is everywhere. And whereas when I'm in the US, it's almost like a part of me just part of my brain operates completely turned off.
I completely agree.
I'm less tired there.
I was wondering why I'm so tired, because in theory I work less here, right? But in reality, my brain is working 24/7. It's working even when I drive, because it's a constant like,
even like
is
the
that
signs
motorcycle
that are
gonna like, and everything's like in French. I don't know kilometers and meters compared to miles.
I still don't.
So you still don't.
I mean, it's just impossible. And somehow my car, we finally figured out we can each have our own setting. And so, mine
you went back to
miles per hour. So, but I thought it was kilometers. So no, but it's so confusing because I only knew the speeds based on kilometers. So now the other day I was on the highway. Sorry, this is like a little aside, but I'm on the highway and it says I'm going 40 kilometers.
But it was
and
miles.
It's supposed to be 80. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? It feels like I'm going fast. So then I'm like gunning it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, this feels really fast. And I realize that it's miles per hour. But like, just these like,
oh my gosh,
all these little things. Like,
I know.
There's just always a little something. And it's not to complain at all, because we can talk about this in another episode too. But I feel like when your brain is in that like discomfort zone,
it's a good thing. You're growing.
It's a really good thing. And I think it allows you to like do these like kind of crazy like things that maybe in the past I would be like, that's complete, like even starting a podcast, like
totally.
What credentials do we have to start a podcast? And I would probably never have done this, but I'm like, you're sort of in this like weird space, and it gives you confidence that you keep navigating through it, and you're like, yeah, why not? Like, why can't we try that?
Well, you keep thinking you can figure things out. Like
that's
what it is. Because I was so proud of myself. Like, I've gone to the same butcher now. Like, it's right up the street. And finally, like, he didn't ask like, como? He just gave me my
like
order.
What you asked for.
Como means like what? Like, and I was even ordering, like, I had to do, like, I've had to translate like how much meat I need into kilos. Like, un kilo, silver plate. Like, and so but I was really proud of myself. I'm like, got through the whole thing. And so you just keep having these little,
that you can do anything,
wins, and you feel.
I think that's such a good point, because I feel like this all the time. Sometimes I just feel like, I can literally figure anything out, because there's been so many situations that I've had to figure out, and it gives you this
little confidence.
Moving abroad definitely like flattens your confidence, because you go back to being a toddler in another country essentially. But at the same time, it slowly like rebuilds your confidence in this way that you've kind of never, like in this way you've never seen yourself before.
Totally.
I think that's
and you're growing. Really cool. Like, I think this is actually like a huge growth that like we don't even see how much different probably. And for me, like 6 months of the way I'm thinking, like, and just how I do things than when I was in the US. Like, I would forget entire car rides. Like, I wouldn't, that's how autopilot.
Because you're not thinking.
Because I wasn't thinking. I'm just like, if you told me, and it would be like a 20-minute drive, pick the kids up from school, my mind was like so not present, and it was on 8 million things that I couldn't have told you anything going on in that drive. Yeah. I could have done it in my sleep.
Yep.
But here, you're just your brain, and it's great. It feels bad sometimes, but also really good sometimes. I don't know exactly how to explain that feeling.
I agree with you. But okay, I think we should wrap it up.
Yes.
So if you guys like listening, stay with us. We are going to learn how to do this, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. So please follow us and subscribe, and we'll be back next week.
Yay.
Right?
All right.
Okay.
Coucou.
Coucou.